Hello, and welcome to the official Woodie's CCI Club Home Study course. This 6 DVD set covers everything you need to learn and trade Woodie's CCI patterns direct from Ken Wood himself. His primary theme in teaching people to trade the CCI is keep it simple. The educational lessons will start off with Woodie explaining the basic CCI. He then teaches you each of his 8 top CCI patterns. After you learn the entries, Woodie will then teach you his money management and trade exit techniques. So let's begin. Here's Woodie.
Hello, I'm Ken Wood, known as Woodie, and I am the founder of Woodie CCI Club. I'd just like to give you a little bit of background about myself. I started trading about 32 years ago, and at that time we did not have the resources that are available today. And so what I used to do is I used to draw my own charts on a piece of paper, and that's how I got involved in the trading world. Of course, at that time I only had a daily chart, could only make a daily chart, I should say, and so my trades and my systems that I was trying to develop were on a daily chart. Through the years, and learning different things about trading and different indicators, because we did have one magazine, and that was at that time called Commodities Magazine, which is today known as Futures Magazine. I would learn a little bit more about this trading and getting involved. I started to become what they call a technical analysis junkie, and by that I mean everything that was available I tried to explore. Being a competitive nature person, I always was looking for that holy grail, as many traders today do. And so I used just about every setting on all the indicators that were available at that time, and I tried to come up with the perfect solution. My very first trade that I made was a daily on a corn chart, and I had a very simple trading plan. I used a moving average, a 10-day moving average, and when the prices would close above the 10-day moving average, I would go long, and I would get out on a close below the daily moving average. This was my very first trade, and as I've said many times, I only had daily prices and could only find out where everything was at the end of the day when the paper would come out from the following day, and I could find out where everything was. My first trade made me aware of what's happening in the trading world, because I put in an order to buy corn, and I also put in a stop order, and when I called my broker to find out if I got my fill, I didn't get filled for about 45 minutes, and then when I called, they told me they got a fill on my stop. And I didn't know what my fill was on my entry, and that come shortly after. So I learned a lot in my very first trade, and from there, again, being a very competitive person by nature, I felt that I'm going to find something that works. Through the years, I started to work with momentum and momentum indicators, and I always noted something quite unique, that in momentum indicators I would see that the momentum indicators would turn before prices. Now that really intrigued me, because the fact that if momentum indicators turn before prices, there had to be something there for that reason. Then around 1980, of course, Don Lambert, who developed the CCI indicator, come out with an article in Commodities Magazine on the CCI and how he thought it could be traded. And from that time forth, I started using the CCI indicator, and I learned different methods I saw these patterns starting to develop on the CCI and continued working with it, and through the years I eventually come to what is now known as the Woodie CCI trading system. Traders even today are continuing the search for the Holy Grail. They feel that the more indicators that they use, the more things that they use, the better off they're going to be, which also shows that they have a lack in confidence in any one method. And so I try to tell traders today to find something very simple, something that works. You're not going to get 100% winners, but you want to get a good high probability of your trades. And that's where the CCI, the way we trade it today, the CCI system does for you as a trader. So as we go along through these CDs, you will find different patterns and different things that I will talk about on exactly how to use the CCI indicator. Okay, what I'd like to explain to you right now is what makes the CCI revolutionary in the world of the trading atmosphere. One of the things, as I said, through the years, I always wanted to find something that was different from what other people had. And as I mentioned about, I noticed on momentum indicators, the momentum indicators would turn before prices. And being that they classified the CCI as a momentum indicator, as I said, I've also used that for many, many years and developed the patterns. Now, what makes it revolutionary? There's about 7 items that is completely different than what is written about technical analysis. And all of it has to do with the CCI. Number 1, we have a CCI turbo. There are no other indicator in the world that has a CCI turbo, which gives you a warning and help you draw trend lines on the indicator. That's number 1. Number 2, you have support and resistance lines at the 100 and minus 100. These are minor support and resistance, and it's right on the indicator. Again, revolutionary because there is no indicators that give you where there are areas of problems in your trading. That also, the zero line is revolutionary because the zero line is a major support and major resistance. So these are items that are very revolutionary in trading. Another one is that because the patterns form on an indicator, there is nothing written about the names of these patterns. And so therefore I had to name these patterns myself. And you'll hear names like Vermeer and Ghost and stuff like that. These are names that I just had to give because there is nothing written about patterns. At Woodie CCI Club about 10 years ago, I started posting these patterns in a chat room. It was a text chat room. And I would post these entries that I was taking a long or a short and having great success. And people started asking me about what I was using and how I'm using it, et cetera, et cetera. And many of them said, well, Woody, if you could talk on a microphone, you could tell us ahead of time when these patterns are developed that you see, and that would help us learn. Because when I was getting into a trade, I'd always have to type in text chat what I was doing, and it would always be a little bit after the fact. So we first started our first chat room about 10 years ago, and what we had was I had a microphone and we had 11 people in the room at that time. And as of today, those 11 traders that started with me 10 years ago, 10 of them are still trading. And so that's quite remarkable. As I said, we had a microphone and I could talk about the patterns and what I was seeing and the trades that were developing. And as we grew and people saw merit in this, we also started to grow in numbers. We got to 200 people in the room, and that was all that chat room would allow. And we had to open up a second chat room and have a speaker from one to the other so that the people in the second chat room could hear me talking in the first chat room. And then when that filled with 200 people, we went to the third one. And it got so that people wouldn't leave the chat room that were in chat room number 1 because they wanted to be in the room that I was in and would be answering questions because I could not see the questions typed in room number 2 and 3. It was then that we decided that we had to do something, and we moved over to another chat room where we could put the large numbers in, and we eventually grown to where we are today. We have our own chat rooms. TalkLive.com is owned by Woodie CCI Club, and we have a number of chat rooms leased out, which help pay the bills for some of the servers that we have to use. And we have 1,200 to 1,300 traders cycle through the chat rooms on a daily basis. We have traders from all over the world. We have one trader up on the North Pole that logs in all the time. So that gives you a little bit of background on Woodie CCI Club, what we got, and we have a lot of exciting things coming in the future.